everybody, I'm Brandon72Mo. Welcome to the third part of the fifth update to my GTA Online Garage Tour video series. If you want to see your own garages featured on my channel, send a tweet at Brandon72Mo with the hashtag Garage Tour. In today's video, we'll be taking a look at another dozen vehicles worth roughly $8.7 million. If you enjoy this video, please drop a like and get subscribed. Now, let's get to the cars. Up first is the Invetero Coquette. I've owned a Coquette for nearly as long as I have been playing GTA Online. That car is a topless version though, and as I mentioned in my last garage tour video, I've been buying hardtop versions of the topless cars that I already own. My love for Corvettes began at a very early age, so it's only natural that I have an entire garage on my first character dedicated solely to Coquettes. I've designed this Coquette to resemble a 7th generation Z06. While it might not be the fastest sports car in the game, it's still a ton of fun to drive and I absolutely love the looks of it. It's a shame the Coquette isn't faster because in real life, Corvettes are incredibly competitive with cars that cost triple what you'd pay for a new Vette. I only wish that Chevy would take a cue from Rockstar and use the Coquette's rear bumper instead of the train wreck that's on the current 7th generation Corvette's rear end. Up next is the Albany Virgo. Released in the first part of the Ill-Gotten Gains DLC, the Virgo is a car that a lot of players have forgotten about. With everything else that came out, it was easy to overlook a muscle car based on a two-door luxury coupe from the 60s. Yet, it's a car that I've always wanted to own. Now that I have the available space to have an entire garage dedicated to Albany, I was quick to pick up a Virgo. It does have quite a few customization options, so you could create a unique look, and it makes a really great sound both at idle and under full throttle. The Virgo also has a surprising amount of traction in the corners as well, something that really sets it apart from other muscle cars in GTA Online. And while it has decent top speed, it lacks quick acceleration, which means it simply isn't competitive in racing. Still, it's a great looking car and it helps to round out my Albany collection. The third vehicle is the Pegassi FCR 1000 Custom. Rockstar absolutely nailed it with the FCR 1000, both the stock and the custom versions. They provide many customization options so that you can create anything from a vintage military service bike to a cruiser to a sport bike and everything in between. The only major downside to the FCR 1000 Custom, besides its price, is that it seems to share an engine sound with the Shitaro. The futuristic sound just doesn't really fit on something that is clearly inspired by a vintage BMW bike. Like a lot of the vehicles added to my garages lately, the FCR 1000 Custom isn't going to win a race. But like most of those other vehicles, I have this bike to complete my Pegassi collection, not to take it racing. The Dubachi Massacro race car is number 4 in this third part to my 5th update to my garage tour series. I've owned the stock version of the Massacro for quite a while because my second character has a Dubachi collection. But now that my first character has 20 spaces dedicated solely to race cars, I picked up the Massacro race car. And you know what? I finally understand why so many people take this car racing. While its traction isn't as strong as other sports cars, if you know how to handle it, it will pivot right around any corner with very little drama. And once you're out of the corners, this car has a massive surge of speed that lets you pull away from the competition. On tracks with longer straights, there aren't many cars that can beat this one. It has the 3rd highest top speed of all sports cars, and thanks to very good acceleration, it can reach that top speed really quick. So if you like to race in GTA Online, pick up a Massacro race car today. Up next is the Pfister Comet Retro Custom. This is the first of the 2 Comet Retro Customs that you'll see in this update series. It's definitely not cheap to own one of these, let alone 2, but there are so many design choices with this car, I couldn't settle on just one. For this one, I wanted to step away from a race car design and stick with something that looks more at home on the street. It also makes a great addition to my small, but now complete, Pfister collection on my second character. Granted, like the Elegy Retro Custom that we'll see in the next video in this series, the Comet Retro Custom is actually a downgrade from the regular Comet. While its top speed does increase, its traction takes a big step down, making it more difficult to handle in the corners. Oh well, at least it'll look good while it's spinning around. Number 6 is the Dubachi Spectre. If you prefer your martinis shaken, not stirred, and you like your cars equipped with ejector seats, and just maybe you want your phone to double as a weapons guidance system, then the Spectre is the car for you. Named after the James Bond film of the same name, the Spectre is clearly modeled after the Aston Martin DB10 that was created solely for that movie. While there were less than a dozen DB10s ever made, you can easily get your hands on a Spectre. At 600 grand, it's one of the more affordable cars from the Import-Export DLC. Sadly, the stock Spectre has a limited number of customization options, so you're going to have to get creative with paint to make your Spectre really stand apart from the crowd. I knew a lot of people would go with a James Bond inspired look, so I went with red instead, just so I wouldn't be driving around in one of countless many look-alike cars. Before we move on to the next 6 vehicles in this update video, I want to remind you that if you play on PC and want to have your own garages featured in a video on my channel, just send a tweet at Brendan72Mo and include the hashtag GarageTour. I'm an absolute gearhead, so I love to look at and talk about cars. If you enjoy cars as much as I do, I'd love to feature your garages. Also, keep an eye out for a future video in this series, including one more video for the 5th update with cars worth over $24 million, plus a video featuring all of my Pegasus vehicles, as well as further updates as I get new cars. If you want to see all those vehicles, keep those likes coming! Next up is the Karen Sultan RS. I featured a Sultan RS in a previous Garage Tour video, but this is not the same car. As with most cars that you can upgrade at Benny's, the Sultan RS offers a ton of options that gives us the ability to really create a wide range of looks. My other Sultan RS is designed to look like a rally race car, so for this one, I wanted something much more subtle. You see, I've loved the Sultan RS since I first played GTA 3, and I really wanted something that carried the lineage of that car. I was very careful to avoid add-ons that would take the look over the top, and after an hour in Benny's, I finally came up with a design that I feel is a great tribute to the original Sultan RS. While this car still has no business being in the supercars class, where it simply cannot compete, it's still a great looking ride that can be a lot of fun to drive around. Just don't make the mistake of showing up to the racetrack in one of these. Our next vehicle is the Invetero Coquette Blackfin. Oh my god, I love how this car turned out. When I first planned on getting a hardtop Blackfin, I wanted to go with a red and white paint job to pay tribute to the first generation Corvettes. My buddy Rocket beat me to that design though, so I had to look for something else. That led me to a search of Chevrolet stock paint codes for early model Vets in a quest to find something that looks great, but did not appear on many cars leaving the factory. That's when I stumbled upon this green and white paint scheme, and I fell in love. I continued my search for period-correct factory wheels and recalled that one of my Corvette books mentioned a lot of the Vets rolled off the line with basic wheels and white wall tires. I thought it sounded a bit sketchy, but when I put them on this car, the design was perfect. Now, I can't wait until the next car show so that I can enter my Blackfin and let everyone else admire this beautiful old car. Number 9 is the Invetero Coquette Classic. The love for Corvettes continues with the Coquette Classic. This one completes my Coquette collection, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. I wanted to go with something that was a bit unique but was still factory correct, so once again I began pouring through Chevrolet paint codes, trying to recreate them as best as I could in Los Santos Customs. Of the dozens that I went through, none looked as good as this green. The Coquette Classic can be a bit of a challenge to drive because, well, it doesn't have the best grip and its brakes are rather poor. But if you get enough seat time in one, you'll master its quirks in no time, and you'll be riding around in a fantastic car that looks great and is a lot of fun to drive. Number 10 is the Bravado Verlierer. I think I'm pronouncing that right. When this car was first released with executives and other criminals, I flat out didn't like it. I thought it was an ugly car, and after checking out Bruffy's testing of the DLC cars, I knew it also wasn't all that great for racing. I call this thing the Valhalla. I dismissed the Valhalla as a huge fail on Rockstar's part. But then I saw one in person, and I realized that all of the photos on Legendary Motorsport simply did not do this car justice. With numerous customization options available, you can take an odd-looking car and turn it into something that looks great. This car has a really nice interior, and it makes a nice noise when you're hard on the throttle. It does have decent top speed, but despite getting a traction boost from a spoiler, it simply lacks an acceleration and overall power to make it truly competitive in racing. But what it lacks in performance, it makes up for in character, and it's a great addition to my Bravado collection. Number 11 is the Grotti Stinger Topless. If money were no object and I could own any car ever made, I'd choose a mid-60s convertible Ferrari. But since I don't have tens of $1 million to spend on a car, I have to live vicariously through my first character and his impressive Grotti collection. I've owned the Stinger GT for quite a while. In fact, it was the very first car that I bought when I began playing on PC. I've wanted to get the Stinger topless for a long time, but I just never had the space. But with the addition of the executive garages, I finally had the room, and this car joined my collection during a massive $40 million spending spree. Sure, this Sports Classics car is nowhere near the top of the class for performance, but that simply does not matter. This car is pure sex on wheels. It makes a sound that is absolutely intoxicating, and it's something that I can drive around knowing that I'm not going to see many other players who own one. If you want a fun little Sports Classics car, then get a Stinger topless today. And finally, the 12th vehicle in the third part of my 5th Garage Tour update is the Ocelot Penetrator. Clearly inspired by the timeless Jaguar XJ220, Rockstar absolutely nailed it with this car. Being based on the only true supercar that Jaguar has ever produced, I had high expectations for the Penetrator. I'm really happy to say that my $880 grand was not wasted, and I absolutely love this car. Like most of the import-export DLC vehicles, the Penetrator has a ton of customization options. I did my best to match the factory paint and wheels that shipped with the XJ220 back in the 90s, and I think I got it mostly right. This car not only looks great, it has excellent performance. Its rear-biased all-wheel drive gives it plenty of grip, and that gets a nice boost once you add a spoiler. Despite its massive wheelbase, this car is a breeze to drive. In fact, it's so nice, I've actually won a few races behind the wheel of my Penetrator. So there you go, a dozen vehicles worth roughly $8.7 million in the third part of my 5th update to my 197 car, $117 million garage tour. I have one more garage tour video coming soon, and this 5th update series will cover a total of 48 new vehicles worth over $38 million. At the end of the 4th video, I'll be including still shots from inside of all 19 garages so that you can see everything that I own. Remember to drop a like if you enjoyed this video and this series. And don't forget to look for new GTA Online garage tours as I get new cars, as well as a special video that will feature my yachts and Pegasus vehicles. Don't forget that you can have your garage featured in a video on my channel by simply sending a tweet at Brandon72Mo and including the hashtag Garage Tour. You can also check out all of the videos in my Garage Tour playlist. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to follow me on social media. And come hang out with us on the Vainglorious forums and the Vainglorious Discord server. All those links are in the description down below. I'm Brandon72Mo, and I'll see you in the next video.